Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to this week's Sofa Manager Scottish Football Podcast. And we've got a bit of a different setup this week. Poor weather has slightly hampered our usual comfy, cosy setup around a desk in Paul's bedroom. So joining me, unusually for a different cam session than I'm used to, truth be told, is a certain John Brown coming live from his bedroom elsewhere in the Scottish Central Belt. So hello, John.
Hello. We're only 200 yards away.
Only 200 yards away, yes. But the weather is such that we couldn't make it across. So we've had to postpone our own podcast and come up with some slightly different arrangements. And of course myself, Paul, is your host. So on this week's show, as usual, we'll fly through some news. So talking about some of Scotland friendlies and Michael O'Neill possibly being manager, and as usual some of our transfer news, some interesting points there about a former Liverpool and PSG star, so stay tuned for that. We'll also be talking key points from the Scottish Cup games over the weekend, how the BBC managed to drag out 90 minutes of highlights of what should have been 10, frankly, and also the Arbroath manager wandering onto the pitch and confronting the referee. We'll be talking about that. Some of the controversial points. We'll also be previewing the round 5 draw, which happened today. And also, right at the end, our new feature, Matches of the Week. So we'll find out maybe how the Jamaican derby got on last week. And we'll also have some new games to look at. So stay tuned for that, and let's get straight into it, shall we, John?
Yeah.
Right, so first and foremost this week, we have Scotland announcing some friendlies against the most bizarre and unusual combination of international teams I think anyone at the SFA could have come up with, John.
That's really bizarre. I think these guys just wanted a holiday.
I know, but, well, they've obviously, Costa Rica are coming to us though, so they organised the fixture the wrong way around there.
A little bit. I do wonder if that's because most of their team is actually based in Europe.
Right.
And it's probably easier when you're looking at Vargas, I think, still in Europe.
Okay. Well, a lot of teams like Brazil and things used to play out of London and stuff, didn't they? So
yeah, I think it's easier for these guys.
Play to their advantage. I remember Peru. I used to have a really good striker in my FIFA career for York City called Irvin Avila. Who was absolutely amazing. He was from Peru. I think that's about. Oh no, who's from else? That Bayern Munich striker, was he not from Peru?
Oof,
was Rocky Santa Cruz? Is he Peruvian?
No, was he not Costa Rican?
I think he's Peruvian.
I don't know.
So that's the extent of my knowledge about the Peru national team. So
they pumped us in the last World Cup, if I remember right.
Oh, did they? I'm not entirely surprised by that.
3-1 or something.
And then Hungary, of course, World Cup winners, weren't they? Way back in the day.
Runners up, but they were part of. Well, was this when they were like part of the USSR, Yugoslavia type? I'm sure.
Right.
They're the cracking team, like Puskás and all that. I'm sure it was part of that Hungarian team.
Well, wasn't Zoltan Gera and things like that still plugging away for Hungary?
No, maybe, aye.
So it's a really bizarre lineup in Mexico, but is this lineup of teams really what the challenge we need, or
I think
how is this actually going to help the Scotland team going ahead into future qualification and
I
would say international tournaments?
I wouldn't say it's for the Scotland team. It's for the opposition. For Mexico going to the World Cup, for Peru going to the World Cup. I don't know why they're playing us. It's just like get your confidence up. We'll play Scotland. It's probably the good way to go.
So, just we're the whipping boys.
Yeah, just get humped 3 or 4-0 and let them go to the World Cup. I actually thought the other way around. I thought they might come to Europe, Mexico and such, and just adjust climate wise.
Yeah.
To Northern Europe. Because I don't think.
Well, Mexico City, one of the highest cities in the world, altitude wise. I can't speak for the other culture there, but I will give some Scotland fans a good holiday. That's for sure. If you could manage to do the Peru and Mexico City in one fell swoop. I don't know how the dates line up, but probably not well. Knowing,
I think you've got 4 days. 4 days in between.
4 days
to go from Lima to Mexico City. It's doable.
It is. So, Sofa Manager will be there on the ground to cover all events.
Well, you never know. A lottery win.
Well, that would be very entertaining. And who knows, could we have Michael O'Neill in place for those friendlies, do we think?
I think so. I think now there is talk going on between him and the SFA. They've agreed compensation with the IFA, Irish Football Association. So, it's the FAI, not the IFA. That's financial advisors. So, I would be surprised if it doesn't go ahead. There's always... it could fall apart, but...
We'll see. I mean, I think until today I was only a bit more certain, but this has rumbled on for far, far too long as it stands.
It's been painful.
And it'll feel a bit weird almost appointing him as manager after this long. I think the kind of excitement's kind of gone behind that sort of move. But, we'll wait and see. We'll assess the team at that point because he's not really got much new talent to work with. I think as we've mentioned in previous podcasts. So we shall see.
But he was at the Hibs Harps derby today at East Tynecastle.
But he lives in Edinburgh, doesn't he?
I believe so.
So he always gets tickets. Everyone and their dog seem to get tickets to that game.
Oh, absolutely.
Very, very. We'll talk about that later in our Scottish Cup roundup, of course.
We shall.
Another piece of news before we get onto the transfers is colt teams to be introduced to League 2 as part of a trial. So the league would be expanded to 12 teams with Rangers and Celtic looking like they would be the two colt teams to kind of fill out those spots there. Thoughts, Mr. Brown?
Painful. Oh dear. This is the beginning of the end.
I know you're not a big fan of colt teams, but you look at your beloved footballing cultures of the likes of Germany and stuff, and it's a thing over there, so why not here?
I think here there's an agenda behind it,
right?
To get the old firm, further improve the old firm. So, in that regard, I think it's a bit naive for them to call it like, we'll introduce colt teams. You're kind of you're disenfranchising a little bit the kind of bottom of League 2. I would rather them see they increase the kind of regional leagues, sort of expanding the idea of the Highland and Lowland League and actually scrap League 2 altogether.
Right.
I think if you do that, you would probably get away with having your colt teams. But to have them in your professional league, if you want to call it professional, is a little bit of a slap in the face.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll make a point now. I was going to make it later, but I think that's the most Highland League teams now in the draw for round 5 ever.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a cheat because some of them haven't played and stuff like that. But, Brora Rangers at the weekend there punted out East Fife, a League 1 team.
And defeated Stranraer the round before as well. Also a League 1
exactly.
team.
So it throws into question the quality of those two leagues in that, they're supposed to be part of our professional pyramid, as you say, semi-pro, whatever. But we've got Highland League teams, and Brora Rangers are, I think, 7th in the Highland League. They're not, steaming it or anything like that.
No, I think they've got a few games in hand, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they're still 7th in that league. And you've still got...
Exactly, so I see your point of absolutely, regionalising things a bit more. Maybe just drop League 1 and League 2 entirely at this point, because they don't serve any purpose when you look at... Especially when you look at who got through in the Scottish Cup. I think Ayr United were the only ones at the moment to progress from League 1 or League 2, and they're essentially a championship team, really, aren't they? So
they should be a championship team. In fact, they should be a very high championship team, given the size of support that they have. I mean, there was 1,500 at the game yesterday on Saturday. Yeah, and I would guarantee at least 1,400 of that would have been Ayr fans.
Ayr United fans, aye.
That's a fair crowd. That's maybe only about 500 off what Hamilton would get in a regular league game. So,
well, I must admit, at the start of the season, it was the first Falkirk Development League match of the season against Celtic. That drew double the crowd than all of the other Development League games easily, because of all the Celtic fans that came to see the youth team. So I think these Colt teams would actually be better supported than some of the proper teams down there.
Every chance, but I still think if they're sort of scrapping the kind of under-20s league as we know it at this moment, Project Brave, I think Colt teams is a strange way to go down if you're looking to develop your talent. What are you going to do? Are you going to have your academy team, or are you going to have a Colt team? Are you going to take them out of the academy leagues? If you're a Rangers or Celtic academy?
Well, are you going to opt, instead of playing in the UEFA Youth Champions League midweek, to go out and play Cowdenbeath, Edinburgh City,
because they would be
teams like that?
They would be league fixtures that would have to be satisfied over under-20s tournaments.
Yeah.
You would have to put a team out, and it would be a colt team, it wouldn't be an under-20 team. So there's a lot I don't think they've thought it through quite as much as they should have.
Well, we look at it as well. Rangers came through this pyramid quite recently, going League 2, League 1, Championship, Premiership. Didn't prepare them for the Premiership in any way, shape or form.
No.
And they ended up at the Premiership with an entirely different team. So it's not a developmental pyramid in any way, shape or form, really, is it?
No, not at all. Nah, if they're going to fart about at the bottom, they'd be looking at the whole thing and increase the top league, maybe a 14-team second league, and then regionalise it from there. I think
we'll need to talk about that at length someday on a special dedicated format and structure podcast.
Yes.
But no, I think cult teams in Leagues 2 seems to be a thumbs down from Sofa Manager there.
Absolutely.
Bit of transfer news this week. Looks like Anthony Stokes and Danny Swanson on their way out the door at the High Bees after getting on the wrong side of Neil Lennon, which is never a good move. I don't think, is it?
No, not at all. It's a curious one now. I thought Stokes had kind of calmed down a little. It seems nothing's changed.
Well, I think the gist of it was they missed a curfew when they were out on training camp in Portugal. And I believe it was himself, Swanson, and I think Martin Boyle. And
I certainly know of Swanson and Stokes. I don't know about Boyle.
I think it was Boyle as well, but I think Stokes' attitude to the whole situation maybe hasn't been great. And I know after the game today, Neil Lennon in the interview was like, "What's the situation with Anthony Stokes?" And he's like, "I am not interested. I'm not talking about it." And I was like, so he has had a bit of a notorious bad boy reputation going about the different clubs, like running through windows high on drugs in Sunderland and things like that. So I think from that side of things, and you can see that Hibs are now well prepared striker wise, aren't they?
Seems to be. I mean, Ollie Shaw looks okay. They're good talent. The boy they've got, was it the guy from Man City? He looks reasonable.
Yeah, Brandon Barker.
You've got, is it
Simon Murray,
who could be on his way out, but
the new Australian guy who we've not seen yet, but
no,
that's
he can't
another option.
Yep. So, but I mean, Stokes is still on his day. He's the absolute talisman, but if there's a lot of baggage, I can understand why they'd want to get rid of him.
I know. Well, there's always baggage with Hibs strikers, though, isn't there?
Well,
if you look back down the years.
Notorious.
Rumour is Charlton, some Polish side, or potentially who, John? Or have you not heard this?
I haven't heard this. I heard about the Polish team, though.
Oh, you not heard the Falkirk rumours?
No.
There were rumours that he would return to the club that made him a superstar, which I believe have now been thwarted for a number of reasons, I imagine. Wages, presumably.
The mannequin putting a stop to it.
Yeah, well, I'm imagining he spent so much money. There was a good picture of him floating about on social media the other day, getting the Player of the Month award. Was it from the Sofa Manager Twitter account, actually? I can't remember. If not, follow the Sofa Manager Twitter account. It's the source of all good news. And it was him with his blonde hair and like a horrendous like Leyland Scott jumper. It was very of the moment, but now you looked back at it, you were like, that's so hideous.
So cringe.
Him and Yogi. So Danny Swanson, on the other hand, looks like he's going to find safe haven back at his old team, St Johnstone.
It's a logical move, yeah.
Well, losing Michael O'Halloran, he'd fill a gap for them, but it's a bit of a step backwards, though, isn't it?
It seems to be.
Strange way.
Hibs was definitely the bigger club for him to go to, but it's never worked out. He's never looked comfortable.
No, I don't think he's competed very well for places there.
No, I don't know if it's if it's an attitude issue, if he's lazy, or at St Johnstone he was a big fish in a small pond, and he doesn't like that kind of atmosphere at Hibs where he's not the main man.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He was such a hero at St Johnstone. It must be difficult going from that to the other. So
absolutely,
we'll see if that comes through in the next week. Also, Rangers have seemed to have shifted all the old wood out and new signings in. Jason Cummings, Russell Martin and Bruno Alves, the last probably big mistake of the Pedro Caixinha era, he's been tempted by Italian side Benevento. Bottom of Serie A, and I believe this was the team. Did they not get a last minute equaliser against AC Milan earlier in the season?
They did. In fact, it was the goalkeeper that scored.
Their goalkeeper that scored
It
sensation.
was an absolute belter of a goal.
I don't think they've had any points since then.
I highly doubt it. That was the only point, and that was, I think, December time, that fixture.
Yeah.
I don't think Bruno Alves is going to solve much issues at Benevento.
Well, the issue there is he'd apparently have to take quite a big wage cut to go.
Mm-hmm.
And, a big wage cut to go to a team that are almost certainly going down, it's a hard sell.
Well, did he not come from Cagliari, who were in
He did
Serie
come
B?
from Cagliari, yeah. Oh, were they in Serie B?
I'm sure they were in Serie B, because I was surprised he was at such a low level, and then moving to Rangers, which was perceivably a higher level.
I think they're maybe in Serie B now. I'm not sure at the time.
Yeah. I don't know if they were relegated or.
If he did want to go to Benevento, though, I was looking up some images today to put together for the Sofa Manager Instagram, and some very interesting promotional material for their home kits this year.
Why?
3 Italian models modelling them.
Nice.
So if he wanted to catch some Italian woman's eye, I don't know what his marital status is. He's a footballer, so it probably doesn't matter. So that could maybe tempt him. I think a cheeky wee thumbnail there for a wandering eye of Bruno Alves. But I was actually thinking about it today, and do you think the Pedro Caixinha sort of era has reminded you in any way of the Paul Le Guen sort of restructuring they tried to do?
It had everything to do with Paul Le Guen. It was. I remember Paul Le Guen's last ever game, I think, was against Falkirk. We beat them. In fact,
oh dear. Well, we know that's why you'd have to be sacked.
I can't remember. Was it Michael? No, it wasn't Michael Higdon. It was the Australian boy played up front. Danny McBreen.
All right.
Sure scored, and that was one of Paul Le Guen's last ever games. We either won it or we drew one each. But you can remember some of the names there, though. I'm sure he signed players like Sasa Papac. It was one of his quite good signings.
Mm-hmm.
But then you had a lot of kind of French duds that came in at the same time.
Yeah.
Philippe Sibo being the notorious one.
Cult hero. Daniel Kuzan as well.
Yep.
Around about that time. I remember one of my former favourite PSG players, Jerome Roten, came in.
Mm-hmm.
As his name stated, he was pretty rotten.
Yep.
And it's funny, actually, when you look back at the Rangers stats, they make legends out of pretty mediocre players. Like, I think, I was looking at Daniel Kuzan's stats the other day, and the most appearances he made were for Rangers.
Aye.
And he didn't do anything anywhere else, and he didn't really do much there either.
Not particularly. In fact, even when you're looking at like Jean-Claude Darcheville and all these kind of characters, like, they were, I think collectively they were quite a good team under a very good manager, Ed Walter Smith.
Mm-hmm. Oh, aye.
And that kind of took them to a position. They played the right kind of system, it suited them. But with Paul Le Guen and Caixinha, it's guys that came into Scottish football, British football, having a perception of what it is, and then finding out the complete opposite and having no idea how to handle it.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, Scottish football is a hard beast to tame, of course, John, so we shan't be too critical.
It's all hoofball and terrible pitches. Like, I bet you can go to like Carlos Pena and Herrera and all these guys. But they probably justified their transfer value if they were playing in a better technical league. They were good players, but they were rubbish in the Scottish leagues. Absolutely hopeless.
I know, we do need a specific type of player.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Johnny Foreigners, Liam Henderson this week signed for Serie B side Bari.
Nice.
Bari, nice and Italian, not like Barry if down the street. Who presumably from the promotional pictures offered him a creative Peroni to go there to Italy in what is one of the coolest kits I think we've seen in a long time.
Yeah. It's a very good move for him, I think. Very good move.
Do you think?
Absolutely.
I think Serie B's a bit low.
No, I think he'll find a good level there, and I think he's got really good technical ability, and it will suit Italian football. Having witnessed it myself firsthand.
Well, Italy's a really good place to go to build your reputation and look quite good in what is quite an average league.
Oh, aye.
you look at people like Higuain, you look at people like Pogba. They've inflated their values massively by playing against pretty meh teams, I think,
absolutely.
most of the time.
I mean, you could easily see Henderson in the next 2 or 3 seasons, if he develops and performs quite well, he could end up at a kind of mid-table Atalanta, Genoa, Sampdoria, if he wanted to stay in Italy. That's a very good level. That's pushing for Europe.
We'll see how he goes. I think it's a very ambitious move, and he's obviously very confident in his own ability to go to a team like that. But not many, again, as we've said before, kind of Scotsmen have gone abroad and succeeded.
No, I think you could point to Ryan Gauld as the opposing spectrum.
Well, you look at though the likes of is it Barry Douglas that now plays for Wolves or Derby, had actually quite a successful spell out in Turkey. The fullback.
I think he's at Wolves.
So some have made it, and I agree with you. A very good, very technical player. I think Hibs fans were mostly disappointed this week to see that happen. They didn't seem to put up much of a fight to that, which I thought was quite surprising. But all the best to him. We look forward to see you back in the Scottish leagues in the next 2 to 3 years, Liam.
Absolutely. Keep tabs.
But lastly, I think our most interesting piece of transfer news: who is the former Liverpool and PSG striker that's now training with Ross County? I'll give you a moment to think, listeners. I'll give you a moment to think. That's right. It's David Ngo, or Ngog. I think it's Ngo, isn't it?
It's Ngog for the purpose of this podcast.
It's deliberated by commentators everywhere. The only piece of football I remember this man for was scoring against Leeds United, I think in a Carling Cup match years ago against Leeds United for Liverpool. And he's kind of wormed his way all the way from greatness to Ross County. So, how bizarre is that?
I mean, I'm just reading the other now that Coyle actually signed up for £4 million to take him to Bolton.
Aye.
From Liverpool, actually, in 2011. £4 million for David Ngog.
I know.
Or Gog.
He's one of these trainees that just never ever panned out anywhere.
No, it's a very big step though from wherever he was to Ross County. It's a very strange move. But I suppose it's kind of like Malumbu going to Kilmarnock. You would never have expected that.
I know, that's exactly the point I was about to make. We're starting to litter the league with former Premier League stars, which I think is a step in the right direction, frankly.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, like Stephen A. Smith going to Hearts is a huge move. Terrific move. So
I'm actually quite pleased that it was Hearts that were able to attract him, and he wasn't lured by the likes of Rangers or anyone else there.
Nah, what he paid.
That's true. That's true. Take some security. So, aye. Let's watch out for Partick Thistle getting... Who could Partick Thistle get that's an old Premier League star on the way down? Maybe Peter Crouch next year or something like that. If Chelsea didn't want him on loan.
If Andy Carroll doesn't make it to Stamford Bridge.
Aye, there you go. So we look forward to see who our next Premier League fail is. It comes to the league, but I think that rounds us off for the news now.
Yep.
So we will look at some of the key points from this week's Scottish Cup. Were you pleased to see Scottish Cup games back, John?
I was. It was just a nice break from kind of league irrelevancy for Falkirk at least.
Aye.
We didn't play another game, so it's another game unbeaten.
That's that. That is the problem with the kind of cold snap we've had at the moment. Quite a lot of games postponed.
Huge amount of games.
This weekend. I think the point you were making kind of off the air earlier was, should we be playing at this time of year? But I think I was looking at pictures from last year when I was stuck in the snow, and it was February. So you can't predict this cold weather. No,
it's quite difficult to predict. It does bring back the argument of Scottish football playing in the summer. If you want to go for that well-trodden argument over and over again. It's unfortunate. There's a certain romance to it being sort of end of January, it's cold, but you're still out watching football. But it doesn't make for a good spectacle. I mean, we'll talk about the Edinburgh Derby in a little bit, but it kind of ruined the game a little bit. Just the bad weather.
I think we have to admit, I thought the AstroTurf pitches in particular were excellent. a lot of the games to be played on AstroTurf were still played. The likes of the game at the Quay of the South being a prime example of they're right in the midst of some of the worst snow.
Aye,
and that game still went ahead. There was a lot of grass pitches, things like that. And I must admit, watching the highlights, it drew to attention the crumbling and decrepit nature of some of the facilities some of these teams are using.
Yeah.
My dad couldn't believe, for example, the state of Somerset Park. And yes, there's loads and loads of people there, but it's a ramshackle, very...
Oh, it's a traditional old school stadium. I would never change it. It's absolutely brilliant, but even if you update it, don't tear it down, build something brand new. Just get a lick of paint.
All right, some fixed seating would be appropriate as well.
Safe standing.
Aye, but also a lot of the cameras were facing out to empty stands and things like that. I think an example, 26,000 at that Celtic game. 9,000 at the Aberdeen game. It's not really capturing the public's imagination. Where it's really lost its sparkle, I think. 9,000
at the Aberdeen game is a really good crowd, but most of the fans are sitting in the stand where the camera is.
I know, but it is down on what the league attendance would be, for example.
But that will always happen when it's not in sort of an individual season ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Falkirk were at home,
true.
I would struggle to be sort of thinking about going to that game if it wasn't on my season ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I would question it, especially with the amount of money that it would cost.
And
I think that puts people off.
I think for me, interest has dwindled down the years, and that a lot of teams at the start of the season would love a cup run. Now I think people just want to finish in a good place in the league. And of course, kind of being Falkirk fans, the best parts of our season were those cup runs. It was going up against those Premier League oppositions and proving that we could be better than we were on a Saturday, conventionally, which was always so exciting. And probably what keeps the attendances at Falkirk so high, to be honest.
You're kind of looking for the unexpected. But
yeah, you're overachieving.
You go in your cup runs, even if it was a Challenge Cup, it would be quite nice. But you're right what you say about clubs, especially if you were Ayr. I'm surprised Ayr played as well as they did, considering they're pushing for promotion.
I thought Ayr were actually quite lucky. They were, I think, 2-1 ahead.
Yeah, going into the last 10 minutes.
There was an absolute stonewall penalty for Arbroath, which everyone conclusively said the guy just gets steamrolled and it is a rugby challenge.
Yep.
And this is what, of course, led to what's his name, Dick
Campbell.
Dick Campbell, there we go. Don't just clip that first read name. He literally walks out into the pitch, and the referee was visually scared. And I was like, "Good on you, son. Go and give it," because it was a terrible decision.
It was a shocker. It was such a blatant foul that
I know
the ref must have thought there's no way he meant that. It was just an accident.
But I love that because it showed you the fire and the passion he had, and he was serious about getting to the next round.
Absolutely.
I think Arbroath and Ayr both in the same league, so it was quite a competitive fixture, isn't it?
Yep, they're second and third respectively.
Well, a very competitive fixture. Yep. In which case, and I did love that fire and passion that he brought to that. And I think had they got that, they would have at least forced it to a replay. Instead, pushing for the game, they lose 2 goals late on, which I think is unfortunate. Was it Lawrence Shanklin's got over 20 goals this season now? That is insane.
I think there was something like Ayer's 70th or 80th goal.
Yeah,
was scored during that game. It's a phenomenal return already.
Well, they've actually been pushing themselves. They turned up in the Betfred Cup. They're now getting talked about in the Scottish Cup. Unfortunately, they go on to play Celtic, don't they? So I think that's where the run ends. But no, playing very well. Unlucky Arbroath. Celtic, on the other hand, what were they playing at? Did you see that starting 11 they put out against Brecon City?
Yeah, that was quite a strong starting 11. In fact,
that's a first team. That is bullying, John. That is absolutely bullying against a team that's been playing mince all season.
It was a little bit, but you've got to consider that that's Celtic's first competitive game back off the winter break.
Oh, I know, but you couldn't have chucked on 3 youngsters for some garbage time or something like that.
You maybe could have. You could have maybe had Ralston in there or something like that, but it wouldn't have mattered. There was no way Brecon were going to win that. Not even.
Oh no,
remotely.
To be fair, I think actually 5-0 is quite a respectable scoreline to come away from that with.
Especially given was it the second goal? Like their absolute defence, they were trying to pass out from the back. There was just a wayward pass right into I think it was the path in Cham. Just fired it home. You're thinking like,
yeah, that was pretty bad. They were talking about all the good teams that play out from the back, like your Barcelonas, your PSGs, and Brecon are not in amongst that company.
Absolutely, the hedge doesn't come into it. Like.
No, I feel really bad for them because they how can you be a supporter of Brecon City this season? You know you're going to turn up and they are going to lose. You know, they've had some battling performances, but
you know they're going to be making a lot more money this season than what they would previous. It's a little bit like Ayr last season. I'm not going to say they're going to be as good next season, Brecon, but you know they're making a reasonable amount of money being in the Championship. You're getting big crowds from Dundee United, Dunfermline,
that's true.
You've got big gate now from the Celtic game that you know that will keep that club going for a good couple of seasons. They might get pumped every week, but you know it's a good sort of financial injection for the club, and you'll see them do quite well next season.
Well, they did. They had some chances, so you know, well done. Not many people go to Celtic Park and get some chances. Namely, my own club, Aberdeen, to be honest. But I thought it was interesting about the 26,000. You know, people making the point that probably wouldn't happen at a Rangers match. Which I thought was an interesting comment because I don't think it would happen at a Rangers match. So there's a very different mentalities about the two supports there, I think.
Well, you saying Rangers would have more or less?
I think more.
Really? More than 26,000 against if it was Brecon?
I think so. I think they'd have at least 35, 4, I don't know. Do you know what? Interestingly enough,
it'd be pretty close.
It would be maybe. I think just as a metric, I generally get more likes for Ranger stuff on Instagram than I do Celtic.
Right.
And interestingly, I get generally more likes for Hibs stuff than I do Hearts stuff. And beyond Aberdeen, you don't get any likes for anything. So your demographic in Scottish football is pretty thin. Pretty thin at best. But I guess speaking of Aberdeen, it's probably the best game of the weekend. I think arguably.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yep.
Watched it on telly. I was worried. You know, St Mirren in good form, playing quite well, and yeah, do you know what? They actually started the game really well, but they just couldn't defend.
They looked really, really nervous. That Stelios at the back was a complete car crash.
Oh, the foul for the penalty was it was such a rookie mistake.
Oh, I mean, he stood off his man as well. I think it was for the third goal. I'm racking my brain. Fourth goal was Mackay-Steven, just absolute thunderbolt. Which was just that
was a peach. I think that's goal of the round easily.
Absolutely, you couldn't argue against it. It was absolutely fantastic.
I think Gary Mackay-Steven in particular is really finding that form of old. Like the ball's just starting to stick to his feet now.
Yeah,
and you're getting that kind of high jinkery that he used to have, and he's really looking a great player.
He does. He looks like the kind of player that he was at Dundee United, which I've never seen at Celtic for whatever reason. It's probably a confidence thing. It's probably, you know, he's now the main man at Aberdeen, so he'll feel valued and all this kind of namby-pamby nonsense.
Well, did you see his tweet earlier as well? He's kind of embracing the swimming in the river. By saying, you know, going back into training with his wee like Lilo sliding down the kind of slides. So he's taking it in good form, and he's probably one of the new signs to break through. I think Greg Stewart's starting to get a bit better.
He's looking a bit better. He's looking fitter.
He is.
Remember seeing him in the development league against Falkirk. He did look fit. He was good technically, but he didn't look fit.
We had Stevie May come on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about you.
He didn't look good.
Well, he was outrun by Aaron Hughes at that Hearts game, as we said, and Rooney getting the goal from a penalty, but he is really short of goals from open play.
I was quite surprised. I fully expected him to, once he had got the penalty, you know, confidence is up. He would have got another maybe one or two, but I still think Rooney's time at Aberdeen's up. It's a season too far.
Oh well, we've signed him up on a 3-year deal now, John, so joy of joys. I think that the main issue with this game was just zero defending. Every time someone wandered vaguely near the box, a goal generally came from it.
Reynolds didn't look too comfortable at all. Him and O'Connor was horrendous.
I think just actually a lot of goals, I must say, across the weekend, and I've said this about Scottish football before, it doesn't come from good play, it comes from horrific mistakes.
Yep.
I think the worst of which was the Hamilton pass back against Motherwell in what was already a very, very big derby game. And
shocker.
Aye, it was your boy McMahon. Is it Scott McMahon? And it's honestly one of the worst pass backs I've ever seen in my life. Straight into the back of the net. I think that's the second time they've lost that. Was it? What derby is it? Not a Lancashire. Lanarkshire derby. There you go.
When you worked in Carluke, you weren't that far away.
Yeah, I know. But everyone supported Rangers and Celtic there, though, didn't they? So, big whoop for them. So Hamilton out. Their squad actually looks like it's going to get dismantled between, I think, the boy Doherty going to Rangers, Aberdeen looking at Mikey Devlin, Ali Crawford's probably turning in the changing room, not his grave just now, thinking, what do I have to do to get out of here?
Absolutely. I think
but they won't
must be on his way out as well.
Oh, terrible. So they a bit disappointed for them. They'd be looking for a cup run. But no, St Mirren quite lacklustre, and I must admit, actually watching the likes of Lewis Morgan and stuff, I'm a bit like, 300 grand. I didn't see him in that game, but I guess you can't judge him.
No, he was quite quiet
on that. Good finish from the boy Riley though, who seems to be very, very prolific.
He's kind of found his level again.
I think so. So we'll see how he gets on. Dundee United kind of breezed past Alloa at the Indro Drill Stadium. Quite a lot of Dundee United fans there, actually.
It looked a decent crowd.
Yeah. The KFC just behind the ground, so that was handy.
It is handy. I've been there a few times.
Oh, really?
It's a not bad wee ground. It's almost like being at a public park where we kind of main stand shoved on one side. We used to have a temporary stand running on the far side. I can't remember if that's still there. But in terms of Dundee United, it was probably a decent win for them, given their kind of last couple of weeks in the league have been terrible, frankly.
Yeah.
But they looked okay. Defending for the first goal was shocking, as we've
highlighted. As it was across this country, yeah.
Yeah. Second goal, wee bit lucky, took a deflection, looked over the keeper. So it's probably quite nice for Dundee United just to kind of win a game reasonably comfortably.
Well, lots of injuries. Lots of new signings coming in there. We posted, of course, on the Sofa Manager Instagram this week of Viking Thomas Mickelson returning back into the fold.
He played as well.
He did. I don't think anyone's excited about that, to be honest.
No.
I don't really know why he's picked Scottish football to make his career. He's just one of these
nobody
average
wants
strikers. Yeah. Well, he got his move to the Premier League last year, though, so it's a funny one. Maybe just because he's foreign and exotic, people are interested.
He's a cult player.
That's how I like my work. Oh, anyway, no, I'm not even going to say that. So I well done them. They are rewarded in the next round by playing away to Aberdeen.
Hey, that's a good game.
So Aberdeen playing in a new firm derby. I really hate that term. I don't really place much credit in it. So Aberdeen playing yet another top championship team at Pittodrie. It'll be interesting to see how they fare there.
That should be good. That should be a good crowd as well.
I would imagine so.
12 o'clock on a Sunday or something daft like that.
Yeah. Elsewhere, Dundee drew 2-2 with Inverness. So Inverness continue their good form. Kilmarnock beat Ross County 1-0 with a... well, I think it probably was a penalty, actually. The young boy, Greg McKenzie. Was it Greg McKenzie? No, it couldn't have been Greg McKenzie. Hand on the back, sent off. Probably a bit of a harsh decision to send him off, but I guess it was goal scoring opportunity. So, I'm sure with David and Go coming in, the Ross County will be fine in their league troubles.
Well, this is it. This is their chairman throwing money at it because they're looking a little bit perilous.
Yeah.
They're notorious for that.
They have been struggling for spells, and Kilmarnock actually kick on and continue their amazing form. It will be interesting to see how far someone like Kilmarnock go in the competition.
Well, they've got it very easy at home to Brora, so
that's true. We have to absolutely commend the Brora effort, though. You know, they've still conceded no goals in the competition.
I would love to see them get some kind of result. I'm not talking like a win or a draw. I'm just mean don't get humped 4 or 5-0. Like a respectable 2-0. You know.
I don't know. It was interesting to see the name of is it Ross Tokley was the manager there?
Yes,
former Inverness player, and I was kind of racking my brains as to why you would take that job, because it's not a financial thing, you know. It's pure passion for being involved in the game.
I think so.
So that's interesting to see. I don't know if he's maybe looking for a wee springboard elsewhere, because this would certainly do it. This would certainly be the season for it. But it's interesting to see all these old names in Scottish football kind of continue to pop up. Actually, Graham Smith, another one in the Brecon goal, who's just been about forever.
Yeah, I remember him being, I'm sure, in Motherwell or St Mirren.
Aye, absolutely touched about. So
I'm going back about 8 or 9 years. Like,
why do you think, actually? Because it's all Highland League teams. There's no Lowland League teams involved at this stage.
No, that's true.
So do you think the Highland League has a greater standard than the Lowland League?
Every chance. It might just be the luck of the draw. I can't really comment because I haven't seen
either or
second or third draws. I'm reluctant to say either way. Every chance, because it seems to be, apart from East Kilbride last season, I can't think of another Lowland League team to get quite as far as this. I know Bo'ness at the juniors have gone reasonably far in the Scottish Cup. Well,
I remember it was Linlithgow Rose, like 2015-2016 season, got quite far. Eventually going out to, was it Forfar? Someone like that. So we've even had junior teams go quite far in the past.
Yeah. I mean, I remember going to see Bo'ness play, I think it was Cowdenbeath.
Yeah.
Either the second or third round of the Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
It was just a bizarre experience. It's like,
well, I must admit the round.
People there, like,
what?
There was nearly 1,000 people at the game for for Bo'ness.
That's probably a record for years and years.
Crazy.
That was the interesting stat today. There was only ever 2 teams that have won the Scottish Cup from outside the top division, which was really interesting. Who was it again? Oh, there was 2 teams. Who can you name? Can you name them?
Probably not.
You can name one of them.
Ayr, maybe.
Nope. You'll kick yourself.
Dundee. Falkirk never did it.
Nope.
God, who'd have been a perennial first division team?
Whoa. No, Hibernian was one.
Of course, they would have been in the championship.
Yes. I think it's Queen. Was it Queen's Park or Queen of the South?
Oh, I don't know. Don't think Queen of the South won it.
No, Queen's Park have.
Queen's Park have won it.
There's a question though. Watching the Brora Rangers game, where did East Fife play?
Methil.
Where?
Methil in Fife.
Where's Methil?
You keep going up the road. If you're taking the Fife Coastal Road, you go past like Bunt Island, Kirkcaldy, and you kind of keep following the road, and you'll end up in Methil.
That is so random.
Very random.
I've not even seen that place signposted before. Sorry, I'm sure that was a very interesting piece of podcasting for everybody, but I bet you.
I'm sure they play on a plastic pitch as well. But
I think so. It looked like it. Interesting enough, we weren't sure where was it. Fort Martin was either.
Yeah.
Fort Martin.
They are. You go to Aberdeen, and instead of kind of following the coast, you start to kind of cut in a wee bit.
Right.
So you're only about maybe 20-30 miles outside Aberdeen. It's almost like if you went to Aberdeen and then you started taking the road to Elgin.
Oh right, I see it. It's a bit further up. No, you definitely want Cove. I think instead of Fort Martin.
I'll take either.
We'll see how that. It's either Falkirk or Livingston that'll end up getting them. And a rearranged fixture for this week on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, former Falkirk legend Lee Miller dropped by the club, has signed an 18-month deal at Livingston.
It's a sad day.
Well, I was surprised that he's actually managed to put this together for himself. So well done him. An excellent guy to have around the club. I know all the players were posting saying how sadly missed he was, and he played it well on social media.
Aye, playing on tugging the heartstrings.
John, we have sacrilege. Something bad's just. I'm sorry, I haven't interrupt the podcast for this announcement. Someone has pinched my Instagram for the Hearts match. Oh no, they've given me a photo credit. No, all's well. That's fine.
There you go.
Yeah, as long as you credit my work, because it was copyrighted from what's the Irish journalist's name in the first place?
Tom English.
Tom English.
Aye. Irishman.
How did he end up here? Like an Irish journalist who cares so much about Scottish sport, I find very peculiar.
I'm fairly confident his speciality lied in rugby as well. It wasn't football.
Well, he watches a lot of the Scotland rugby. He watches a lot of Andy Murray's tennis.
Yep. He's one of these kind of sports journalists rather than football specific.
Yes, but he focuses entirely on Scottish sport, which is it's kind of bizarre. But thank you for the picture, Tom. And thank you, Hearts, for pinching my Instagram. But no, I'll be interested. I'm amazed that Lee Miller signed an 18-month deal at his age.
I think there's a view to coaching in about that, though.
I think so, and that would be great because that's what he was after with Falkirk, and we could all see that.
We kind of threw him under the bus in some regard.
Aye, lots of kind messages, and I saw he was going back and forth with a few fans on Twitter the other day about his Brockville memories and stuff like that, which it was quite nice to see.
I know, he liked my tweet, so.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's quite exciting. That is actually quite exciting.
I nearly wet myself.
You should. Yeah, that's a moment you'll have for the rest of your life. So. But that's weird because that's kind of, as you were saying, I think that's a kind of player you've come through your whole kind of football supporting career with, isn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, he kind of started about the same time I started watching Falkirk, which is really bizarre. Last season in Brockville, I remember him, Mark Kerr, who had only been about 2021. Thereabouts. There was pictures of him on the Falkirk Herald with like Colin Samuel, absolutely tearing Hearts to shreds in the cup. I remember that. I remember being there.
See, I remember those players more fondly than I do the likes of Farid El Alagui or Lyle Taylor or even Craig Sibbald, someone like that.
I think Craig Sibbald in time will have that, depending on if we actually do anything significant, like
I don't
get
know.
promoted while he's there, which is highly unlikely. But that entire team, the 02-03 team, it's almost immortalised because it was last season in Brockville. And there has been cult players in between. You had like Latape, Darryl Duffy, these kind of guys, Ryan Flynn to an extent, who's went to St Mirren. These are players you remember. There's not like duds in between, but I think every football fan's got that kind of.
Oh yeah. I just think there's more wistful nostalgia for the kind of the older players back when I don't know. I just
back in that period, the early 2000s. When you look back on it, it's far more exciting than what it is.
It was. Now. It was. That's a gloomy thought, isn't it?
Very.
Well, sadly, my childhood favourite Darren Mackey's already been and gone. So I've already gone through those emotions and come to terms with. Do you know what? It's going to be really funny picking up a copy of FIFA in like 10, 20 years time, like FIFA 06 and something like that, and just going, oh my gosh, remember this, that and the other, and like how...
Oh, it's the old sticker albums, like...
Yeah!
If you ever find them kicking about, by the way, you look at some of the players and who they were playing for.
That will be a brilliant bit. Do you know what? A feature I actually quite want to do is like how strong clubs could be if the players, like some of the players never left.
Aye.
Yep. So almost like a legend squad. If people still currently playing, but St Mirren could have like Aaron Moy and like Paul Dummett, John McGinn.
Well, you don't want Paul Dummett in your team.
Well, I'm trying to think of big air names that played for St Mirren. People like that. I think that would be really interesting. So
Billy Mehmet.
Who's
his name? Andy Dorman as well.
Andy Dorman was a good player.
He was a roasting player.
I don't know if he's still a player. Higdon played for St Mirren briefly, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know if they would class him as a legend or not. I think maybe Motherwell.
I'm trying to think. St Mirren never really had any good strikers, but keeper, yeah. We'll come on to it another day.
We'll maybe do that at some stage.
I'm sure. I think the last fixture in the Scottish Cup didn't really mention, and this got extensive coverage on the BBC highlights. That was Dunfermline against Morton.
I know the camera behind the goals.
They had 2 slow motion cameras at this game, John. Which you didn't need to, because watching it in normal time looked like it was in slow motion.
Yeah. Was it got to turn it off or?
Oh, it was so bad. It was a good 15-minute package. That was another thing. How they managed to film 90 minutes with all these Scottish Cup highlights, I'll never know. And
who went through them? That's the thing.
Oh, it was so dismal. Like, usually you can rattle through. I remember actually years ago there was a day where nearly all the Scottish Cup games were postponed, and they had 4 games to fill a 1.5 hour slot. And my goodness, you got the longest highlights I've ever seen of Dundee United against Partick Thistle, and it was actually quite interesting because you got to see more of the game than you usually would. But it was, you know, like the Sky Sports Game of the Day sort of style things they do. It was very much like that. It was just so bad. But it really highlighted, I think, the lows of Championship football with, you know, the lack of finishing, it's just the absolute shambles of play. And if you were going to, because they clearly invested early on, they're like, right, where are we going to put the good cameras for this game? Dunfermline and Morton are the last 2 teams I would pick. They have been so dull to watch this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's just typical Championship football. I mean, we watch it quite regularly, so we know what to expect.
Yeah.
I was surprised though. In fact, to be honest, I was surprised the 2 teams actually put out as strong a starting 11 as they did.
Right.
Considering Morton are on the slide, and Dunfermline look like they want to push for the playoffs. You know, there's a lot kind of riding on the league progression rather than farting about in the cup.
Absolutely. I know both full teams. Actually, your former Falkirk man James Cragen got a wee run out. Quite quick.
Kotongo was back for Morton, got the goal.
Yeah, Kotongo came on for Aberdeen man, I think Frank Ross, who signed a year extension and then went out on loan to Morton. And I was a bit like, did they hoodwink him into that and say, right, tell you what, Frank, you're going to get loads of game time second half of the season. All the game time. I was like, oh cool, I'll sign on. Oh, by the way, Frank, it's at Morton. See, catch you later.
Aberdeen did that with Danny Rogers.
They did. Who still sits on our bench gleefully behind Joe Lewis. It was actually a game that had 0-0 written all over it. But Morton coming back late on, so interesting stuff there. Who do they go on and play in the next round actually?
They're at home to either Peterhead or Dumbarton.
See, Dumbarton can be absolutely mince on their day, so Peterhead could win that.
Every chance. But imagine if it was Dumbarton. That must be the most infuriating fixture on the calendar. Because they're literally just across the water. They're across, like, you know, when we went to Morton, you kind of follow that road. Well, you actually pass Dumbarton's Park on the other side of the river.
Aye, but it's...
So you've got to drive all the way back towards
right.
Glasgow and all the way back around again. Which
if
would
only...
be like a 5-minute journey between Dumbarton and Greenock.
If only there was a wee ferry to take you there or something instead.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
Elsewhere, Brora were rewarded. They'll play Kilmarnock, so I think we all know how that one will probably end.
Yep.
Dundee or Inverness play Motherwell Premiership fixture, and I think we've mentioned all the other ones, haven't we? Really? Hearts will probably play St Johnstone, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I'm amazed they're also playing that at Clifton Hill, the Albion St Johnstone game, because it is a crumbling wreck, and I think only one stand has a safety certificate.
Really?
Yeah, which is quite amusing.
Oh, tis the state of things, isn't it?
Right, that's Coat Bridge for you.
I know. Anyway, I think that brings us to the most exciting time of the podcast, of course. Ooh. With our new for 2018 feature, it is Matches of the Week. Hooray! Yay. So, I tell you, following on from last week, did you pick... It was the Jamaican derby fixture, of course.
I did, aye.
How did that end up? Was it an exciting fixture?
I don't know. I actually put money on the Sunday night game with Portmore United. we're playing bottom of the league.
Mm-hmm.
No, we had this discussion off air actually, lads and ladies, that you couldn't find Jamaican Premier League football to bet on.
Yeah.
So I spent all of a minute and a half, I think, on Bet365 and found it.
Yeah.
Which was just outstanding.
It's actually frightening.
You could bet on anything you wanted.
I know.
It's bad for me. I put a tenner on it and they got beat. They got beat 2-1 off Harbour View. Right?
Off the bottom.
They were leading 1-0 when I went to my bed because it was kicking off at like midnight. I was like, right, easy money, and they got beat. But they beat Humble Lions.
There you go.
I was like,
well
good.
done them. That sucks because
I
I went hard on the Humble Lions branding for the podcast last week and they didn't win. I think did we not also have the Leeds Millwall game on the go as well?
We did, yes.
Which ended in like crazy scenes of like 4-3 in like 90 plus 2 minutes or something like that, didn't it?
I mean, that's standard for a kind of Leeds game.
Well, it just shows we know how to pick 'em here on Matches of the Week. Absolutely. Brought to you by SofaManager.com. Anywho, who's going first this week, John?
I'll let you go first because I think I went first the last time.
Right. Tell you what, because my fixtures were so boring last week, I have made sure that I've got the spirit of things here. And listening along to our best of podcast, still available on YouTube.com and Mixcloud.com. I'm sure via SofaManager.com as well. That's just actually, if in doubt, just go to SofaManager.com. Things will be there. I think it was listening back to our kind of Fort William stuff back in the day and how bad they were. So I was hunting down fixtures in the Lowland League actually this week to see if there was anything interesting. And Spartans actually play Hawick Royal Albert next weekend. Spartans are second in the league, pushing East Kilbride actually quite well at the moment, doing all right. But it's Hawick Royal Albert that I'm interested in. They currently sit in 16th, which is bottom of the table, 1 point in 19 games, with a goal difference of negative 65. They've conceded 73 goals, scoring 8. And
that's
were
just
beaten.
As bad as Fort William.
It is just as bad as Fort William, and they were beaten by Selkirk 5-0 last time out. So, considering the playing Spartans who are second in the league, I think this could be quite a goal-filled tie, shall we say?
No, in other words.
Well, do you know what? Now that we're talking about it, there's every chance that Hawick get inspired by being mentioned on Sofa Manager. So that's why I fixed that fixture. If I had to make any predictions, I think it's 7-0 Spartans is probably my prediction. So what's your first one, John?
My first one's really boring.
Oh.
Well, given the Scottish Cup draw,
Yep.
Actually, I have a renewed interest in what Falkirk are going to be doing in the Scottish Cup.
Have you picked Livingston Falkirk in the arranged fixture? Okay.
I'm curious. I think, to be honest, I just want a trip to either Cove or Fort Martin.
Yeah, I thought it would be one of the grounds you
December,
haven't ticked off your list yet.
Yeah, I mean, I've only ever been to kind of Aberdeen, up that neck of the woods. I've never been to Peterhead or anything like that, or Elgin. So, I hope Falkirk get the finger out and play a little bit.
Well, I was saying on the chat earlier, I was like, oh, that's an easy one to get through. And I was like, wait, they've got to beat Livingston first. There's a banana skin there. In name and colour. So that's if the game even goes ahead midweek.
Oh, that's it. I mean, that's what part of me wants it to go ahead because there's a Starbucks nearby.
That's true. Lots of various eateries for people to go to if they get bored.
Absolutely. You can make an evening of it.
So do you think Falkirk will come through it?
I think it's going to be tight. I'd be surprised if they did, to be honest.
Wait and see. What's your prediction, John? I'm going to push you.
I'll be 1-0 to Falkirk.
A tight game. Squeaky bum fixture.
Game. Absolutely.
My second game this week is it's similar to the Lowland League in quality. It's AS Monaco against Marseille of Ligue 1, which happens next weekend. They are both closely contesting second place in Ligue 1, which is best of the rest behind PSG. And Marseille in particular have been absolutely flying at the moment. Your former Newcastle man, Florian Thauvin, has
He's a revelation.
He's unbelievably good. And like this guy was mince in the Premier League. He couldn't get a game for Newcastle. I think he was part of the Championship campaign at one point as well.
We sold him in the January. I think he only lasted 6 months. He went out on loan.
So no, he's. I guess players just find their feet at some clubs, don't they? And he's been absolutely stunning. Dimitri Payet as well. We've got Falcao for Monaco. Monaco still have an incredibly decent side.
Is it the guy that Arsenal keep chasing? Is it Lamar?
Yes.
Is he still at Monaco? I think he is.
I think he could probably go. They have quite a good striker, Monaco, as well. I was like quite surprised to see the other day. I think he used to play for AC Milan or something like that. Bear with me while I find that. What's his name? Oh yeah, Jovetic plays with Monaco now.
Does he? Former Fiorentina,
which
Man
I
City.
did not know. Yes, formerly Man City fame. So how the mighty have fallen. So they're currently on time of recording a Sunday. There are some midweek fixtures next week. They're only 1 point apart, so this could be actually quite a big game come the end of the season. And hence why I picked it for matches of the week. I predict actually Marseille will take this 1-0.
So is this for Champions League spots or is it Europa League?
I think second place gets an automatic. Third place would have to be a qualifier.
Right, because they'll probably go into because they've changed all the rules. It was the top three were going into group stages and all this kind of stuff. I'm sure that comes in this season.
Well, maybe the three of them. I just remember, Nice went in, I think, at the last qualifying round. So
was it Roma that were playing?
I think so, yeah.
I remember that far back.
Something like that. So, anyway, what's your next match of the week for us, John?
My next game is actually Dinamo Dresden versus St. Pauli.
Oh, that is a cult fixture.
That is a cult fixture right there. Dinamo Dresden is one of the top teams in Germany that I would love to go and see.
Right.
It's between them. I think Cologne would be a really good trip, and the kind of standard Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. But there's something about that Dinamo Dresden when you see the support, and you're like, you just want to sort of soak all that in.
The only thing I know the Dresden logo because it was given to me as my first item on FIFA Ultimate Team, I think 2 years ago, and I just kind of stuck with it throughout. So that's my familiarity with them.
I mean, they're an absolutely ginormous team support-wise, but they've just kind of struggled. Certainly, the recent 5 or 10 seasons that they've never quite made it back into the kind of top leagues. There's a few teams like that in Germany, like Mannheim, Waldorf Mannheim, and stuff like that, who kind of struggle. And then you've got St. Pauli, the away team, who they've always had their kind of cult following up in Hamburg.
Do they not have a bit of a social justice thing going on or something? They're all very positive and charitable.
They have some connection with Celtic. And I don't know if that's just because Rangers fans follow Hamburg.
Right.
For whatever reason.
I was about to say, I've seen some St. Pauli kits about. I think it's a New Balance one that's actually quite widely sold, despite the fact, is this a Bundesliga 2 or 3 game?
Bundesliga 2.
Oh, right. Okay,
they're not even that great. I mean, St. Pauli's sitting 10th and Dinamo Dresden's 11th.
Another close tie.
I mean, the table's is reasonably tight. I mean, there's 11 points between 11th and top. In fact, Fortuna Düsseldorf have lost 3 of their last 5. They're top of the league. So they're tumbling away. You've got teams like Nuremberg, Union Berlin, Duisburg, Bochum, Eintracht Braunschweig, who were in the Bundesliga a couple of seasons ago.
Reminds me of the bowling balls.
Well, I'm sure they're the first team that were ever sponsored by a brand.
Really?
Eintracht Braunschweig, and I'm sure it was Jägermeister.
That would be a cool kit if it was in the traditional kind of orange colours.
Have the actual logo as well.
It probably was. Oh well, I think that's an interesting fact to end on, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not bad.
So that brings us to the end of our wonderful show this week. Next week we'll be back on league action, I suppose, and hopefully talking about the cup replays that have taken place, or even hopefully that Fraserburgh Rangers fixture goes ahead, because I think that'll be an interesting one.
Yep.
Interesting that Sky actually would have had a double header this week had that panned out, but sadly not to be. So I'll thank you for my webcam bunny, John Brown.
I'm costing you a fortune here.
Oh, I know. It's fine. We'll get my money's worth once once we finish recording.
We'll square up.
And of course, thanks for listening from me, Paul. So have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.